Reet. Had your gobs. Public service announcement from Fatster's economy lad. All the crap coming is Reet. But didn't ask when war Sloggs and Dan or a couple of doylums that canna use the netty proper, let alone find their arse from their elbow, so gan canny. All the pictures taxed them from all hour, so cheers to all the hinnies who hide them out there. So all canny here over the dirt, so if you didn't like it, like me granny used to say, it's nice to be nice, if you canna be nice, fuck off. Didn't let the bairns listen to this unless you want them to go and proper rage and mental. Reet man, pet man, this is one of them D as I say, not as I D moments. If ye want to copy us, Dibben come running to us after with a broken leg. Cheers, bairns, gan canny.
I'm Dan Watson.
I'm Paul Sloggett. Welcome to the Dirt.
Ladies and gentlemen, for today's episode, we're absolutely stoked to have a momentous episode in our first ever sort of full episode with just one lady, and that today is Lisa McL. And I hope I pronounced that right, but I'm not going to try and pronounce it again. That's Lisa Mac to everyone. Let's do our best to get her in here, have a chat for a little while, find out who she is, where she's from, and yeah, just waiting. And there we go. We're in the room.
Good evening.
Hey.
Good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world, whatever time you're watching. Thank you for coming on the Dirt, Lisa Mac. Lisa McL.
Yeah, you got it about right, McL. Yeah.
McL. There we go. I always feel awkward because it's always me that does the introductions, and I think, some of the names I've got to make sure that I get right as well.
To be fair, mine's not the most difficult, so you're all right.
Thankfully. Look, listen, thank you for coming on, Doc. Thank you for spending a little bit of your time with us. I know that it's precious to everybody these days. And thank you for being sort of like, although we had a female on with the LA episode, this is our first sort of forage into the female psyche of the mountain board world. And who better than yourself? So yeah, for those of us who are not familiar with yourself, give us a little bit of an introduction, if you will, as to who you are, how you found mountain boarding, the whens and the wheres of all that stuff.
Well, so I started mountain boarding in Northern Ireland. So I grew up in County Down. And when I was 16, one of the girls from school suggested we go to the Mourne Mountains to this place called Surf and Dirt and try something called mountainboarding. I'd never heard of it before in my life, but I'd always been fairly sporty, never done a board sport. And we all went up this day and it was a great laugh. I think we were on probably the world's most basic mountain boards. There was the old MBS with the metal truck, the metal bindings.
Yeah, the posts and or do you mean the what they're called ergo? Not ergo.
Not the ergo.
Don Baker will be saying what they are. I can't remember what they are now, but I know what you mean.
Yeah. The ones that you know the ones I'm talking about. And I think my first board that I was riding was a Keo Air. That was blue. I absolutely loved it. I fell on my ass so many times. Couldn't work out if I was regular, goofy. I had no idea. But we had an absolute ball. It was wet. It was raining. It was muddy. And we thought the following summer, this was, I think, November or something what we did. It was right at the end of kind of the season. It was my friend's birthday. And we went back in the summer, picked up the same board. And there was a couple of young guys. Do you remember the Gormans?
Yes, Leo Gorman, is it?
Yeah, Leo Gorman and Sam Gorman. And they were there every single day that I went back. and we were there nearly every weekend over the summer. We started camping out in the mountains, me and a couple of friends from school. We really started enjoying it. And Leo and Sam were always there, and I was going out riding with them, going down and visiting them at their house and getting out in the forest in Ross Trevor. There was another couple of guys called John McGuckin and Johnny O'Halloran, Johnny Dreads.
Right. I'll have fun looking for those photos. I'm not familiar with them.
Gary Parr ran the mountainboarding place, and he had an old dirt surfer and had like a little longboard crew, and they used to go out riding in the mountains and down the roads, and just spending time there. I fell in love with the sport, to be fair.
So you jumped in with both feet soon when you found it, pretty much then?
Pretty much, yeah. Was never really very good at it to the beginning. There was a track, and we started just by trying to ride the bottom half of the track and making it over the rollers. Those rollers, there were 10 rollers at the end of or something like that, at the end of the track, and it was rocky and shaly and nothing in comparison to the likes of Hales or Bugs or Out to Grass at the time. It was a proper rugged mountain boarding track, and we were doing it in sections, and there was a wee gorse run from the top that you would go through the gorse bushes. Ended up in that bush once or twice. Not most pleasant.
I know all about, there's shitloads of gorse down here in Cornwall. I know all about falling in gorse.
It's not the falling in, it's trying to get back out, because you've got to know where to push yourself up from, because you just put your palm straight in it as well.
Best gloves, I think, were the full finger hillbilly gloves.
Yeah.
It wasn't quite as bad pushing yourself back up.
That goat leather definitely would have helped you. Were you still riding with? You mentioned a few lads. You started one of your friends' birthday parties, and was that another female there?
So that was another female. It was a group of us. There must have been about 5 females and 3 guys that we all went. None of them really took the sport up. Jeanette came back for the summer, and she was there, but she more enjoyed the social aspect of it as opposed to the riding.
Yeah.
And it was a couple of the guys that kind of did it, and then I really got friendly with the regular riders at the centre, and that was Leo and Sam. They were the ones that after, I think it was 2006, All Ireland Mountainboarding Championships. I started racing, and it was Ryan Slater from Australia was over.
Yeah.
There was just mini kickers, and he was
hell of a good rider.
Yeah. But he was doing backflips off the tiniest little ramps that, I was just learning to try maybe do an indie or something. But it was really good to be part of the competition. I really enjoyed the race, and it was the first time I ever made my way down from the top to the finish of the track. And Leo and Sam, they invited me to come over with them to one of the ATBA rounds, and I think it was the first one at the Edge, maybe 2007.
It doesn't matter if you get it wrong. Matt Brinder soon correct you.
It was I can't remember when it was, but it was around that time. And I think
2 weeks. Can I just butt in here? 2 weeks we've gone without saying anything about Matt Brind, and there's word on the street we're getting soft. This. Yeah, I've heard through the grapevine we're getting soft. So just so we don't make it 3 weeks on the trot, Matt Brind's a prick. But yeah, I did say I might cut you in, and I'm going to continue to cut you in here because I think you're going to jump onto your competitive sort of side here by the sounds of things, because you're mentioning the ATBA rounds now. And before we get to that, I've got two questions that have come in from the community that are potentially relevant to your beginnings of being a rider. So if you don't mind, I shall just fund them. Now, one of them has come in via a written message from Sarah Watson. No relation of mine, but she's a new rider that you may not have heard of. She has come across from the electric scene to downhill riding in the last year or so. She's a really, really sound girl.
Boyfriend's a bit of a wanker though. But
yeah, her boyfriend's an absolute chump. What's his name? But Bark Bark something.
Bishop.
Bark Bishop or something like that.
Whoa.
But so.
I know so.
Oh, actually, no. This one isn't. I'll save that one for a bit later. We'll come on to. But the other person, female, who I thought was relevant to this part of it, is the lovely Claire Sloggett. Now, I've tried to persuade her to come in and kick him out the chair and ask you herself, but she says she's a little bit shy.
She ain't doing it. She's not doing it.
I don't think she's that shy. I think Sloggs has locked the door because he don't like sharing the limelight. He is camera hungry, to say the least.
Trying to give Sonny Dibben a run for his money.
So yeah. Anyway, I have a video here. I'll play it for you, and then we'll let it over the top.
Hi Lisa, hi Dan, hi husband. Just wondering if I could ask a question tonight. Just wondering what advice, Lisa, you'd give to anyone starting out. Had my second lesson on the board, so I'm very, very new to it. Just wondering what hints and tips you could have for me. Cheers, bye.
There you go.
Right.
So, being that you was a learner once, we were all learners once. What little nuggets can you?
I'm still a learner. Every time I get on the board, I think I'm still learning, especially if you've been snowboarding for a couple of weeks or something. You come back and it's like beginning all over again. But it's a good question. So number one, I think it would be getting a pair of ass pads. I fell an awful lot, and I think getting a set of ass pads was one of the biggest investments and the best investment I ever made. But just pick the board up and don't be shy. There's a lot of guys out there, and maybe they'll get up and they'll do things and they'll push themselves a little bit further than what you're comfortable with, but don't be shy to just persevere and pick yourself up, and you will fall down and get dirty and hurt yourself, but it's only a bump and a bruise and it'll go away in a couple of days.
I think another thing that you touched on earlier when you said about your learning to mountain board that is very important, and we've said it time and time again, really, even in the short time we've been doing this, is how riders approach stuff that they haven't ridden before. If you're not a rider, if you're new to mountain boarding in general, you're not going to be used to looking at terrain and analysing it on the move necessarily. So the way that is great to do it is, like you say, sectionalise a run, break it down into something that's smaller and bite-sizable, and spend that time learning those runs. It's about repetition, if you will, for a bit. But yeah,
I think going out riding as well, just with I went out riding a lot with it was like Leo and Sam when I first started, and they were really, really supportive, but they were much younger than I was. I think Leo was only kind of 10 years old, maybe even younger. Sam 13, 14, something along those lines when I met them. And they were jumping over barbecues on fire, jumping over the roofs of cars, and I'm there kind of going, well, I don't think I can do that, but I can maybe go over this little jump beside them. So having people to kind of look up to that were also really supportive and helping you overcome the next little step always kind of made me want to, I can do that. If they can do it, I can do it.
Yeah, bit of peer pressure.
Yeah, a little bit. healthy peer pressure.
Healthy peer pressure. I think that's the key, isn't it? Healthy peer pressure. I wouldn't know anything about the healthy stuff. I only know about full-on peer pressure when it comes to him, at least. Well, yeah, thank you very much for that, Claire. I hope that has helped a little bit. Having a especially someone that you can go out and ride with and get stoked on and have a giggle with is key to it all as well. I mean, Claire is shed out of luck there, unfortunately, with her husband, because it is an absolute So yeah, but like so we cut into the reader's question there, or the viewer's question there. One day I'll get that right. But you were verging on to going over to the first ATBA event. Take us back to your timeline.
Well, that's it. My timeline's all very blurred. I'm not really too sure on things these days. I think age must do that to you. But I think I went over to 2 competitions, I think, in 1 year, and it was Hales and the Edge. And I think the Edge was the very first competition I went to. And I just remember arriving. It was a really hot summer's day. I'd got the ferry over with Leo, Sam, and their mum. We pitched the tents up by the Kirkmans. Leo was really good friends with Mick, and kind of we were pitched over on that side at the top of like this little snake run. And I started off just by kind of going down the little snake run. There was a few other girls at the event. At the time, it was a complete blur. There was a lot of riders, and it was just amazing to see all of the different tents. I think there was an MBS tent, there was an ATPA tent, then you had all of the different teams. There's the Out to Grass team, the Trampa team were at the bottom, and there's big speakers, and the whole sort of kind of just atmosphere was brilliant. I thought, why not give it a go? Leo and Sam, they'd convinced me to come over. I think Johnny O'Halloran might have been there, Johnny Dreads as well, from Ireland. Yeah. And the crew kind of were really supportive, and I just went, and I think the first couple of times I went down the track, probably I didn't make it. And I just did it section by section. I think there was, who were the girls that were there? Lorna, perhaps Natalie was definitely there.
Lorna Bowen and Natalie Reynolds.
And
if you were part next to the Kirkmans, would Yoss have been there?
Yeah, Yoss was there. She was just sort of at the point, I think, where she was kind of finishing riding.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Forecast, would she have still been around then for you?
Nikki Forecast was still about. Yeah, Nikki Forecast was still about. Was M riding at that point? I can't remember.
Not sure.
But there was quite a few girls in the race, and I just remember absolutely loving it. I don't really remember much else other than just the kind of the whole atmosphere and kind of the spirit of it. But I loved it. I loved that track, that bottom left-hand sweeping berm. Yeah, it was brilliant. And I think at the bottom there was kind of a little jump section, and Mick Kirkman and Leo and a few other riders, and they were all trying to jump stacked up mountain boards.
Yeah.
I can't remember how tall it was, but it just looked impossible. It looked like a brick wall.
Well, compared to the size of them at the time, it must have been double the head height, I should imagine, at times.
So no, it was great.
So we're coming to the mainland, if you will, to England to compete there. Was that your sort of first experience then of the UK female community as such?
Completely, yeah. So I'd done a couple of the races in Ireland, but I'd only ever seen kind of the Irish mountainboarding scene. Never been across the mainland. Only had seen videos of what I'd been shown, what I've been told, and the guys they'd been going over for a few years. So yeah, it was my first experience really of the UK scene, and it was gobsmacking. It was brilliant. I'm quite competitive, and I used to race quad bikes, and I went from sort of going to quad bike racing at the weekends, which was big tents and big atmosphere and lots of people and quite a competitive, kind of going on a track walk, looking at the track, the different lines before the actual races. So it was kind of transitioning that from lots of noise of engines to actually kind of quite chill, relax. Everyone's happy, having a good laugh. There was such a great kind of friendly atmosphere and spirit. Everybody was, I had no idea who anyone was, but everyone at one point at the weekend kind of probably knew who I was, and just started talking. And it was a great experience to become part of kind of the community from that point onwards.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got to maintain that it is without doubt the most welcoming community that I've had, or that I've ever experienced in any of the board sports. Not saying that the others aren't, but but it's just that, yeah, there's definitely kindred spirits, and everyone's just as bonkers as each other. They're quite unique characters. No matter who you meet, there's a uniqueness about them. There's something a little bit different about. Yeah, there's a little wire that's, maybe loops a section in the brain.
Bobby Dibbon.
Bobby Dibbon.
Bobby. At the Edge, it was the freestyle on the Sunday. And I just remember being kind of stood at the top. I'd never been over a big jump in my life. Ireland didn't have big jumps. They had little wooden kickers.
Yeah.
And this was like, these were big jumps. And you'd watched all of the guys practicing, and like, I think Twy Lovejoy, Tom Kirkman, and all of that kind of, the crews were there, and you were seeing them, and I stood at the top kind of going, what the fuck am I going to do? So I think I kind of worked my way up and just kind of went the first time and then came back down.
You got 3 runs.
But, yeah, and Bobby she was really encouraging. And I think by the end of it, I think Bobby and I had actually worked ourselves up to, we're going to try a 180.
Yeah.
And we were, maybe a couple of inches off the floor. But I just remember standing at the top, absolutely bricking it and going over these jumps and really being encouraged by all of the female riders. But Bobby stands out as being, come on, Lisa, and egging each other up.
She is my favourite Dibbon by far.
Is there other Dibbons?
Well, I know her husband.
Yeah, he's all right.
I think they might have a daughter as well.
I can't think of anyone else. Not anyone relevant to mountain boarding anyway. But we do love Bobby. Yeah, she's always, much like yourself, always got a smile on her face, for one thing. Yeah.
And she's a massive stoke to see on the hill. I remember, I think it was EBIT, she maybe turned up last year, and it was EBIT, and seeing her there for the first time in God knows how long, and still smiling, still full of positivity.
Last year.
How come you didn't get along to EBIT this year? Oh, we're jumping. I'm jumping the gun. We'll come onto that side of things in due course. So yeah, we were still back at your first mountain board comp at the Edge there.
I think
on the freestyle jump. Did you get a result out of the weekend at all, or?
I think I did pretty well, to be honest. Although I was absolutely bricking it and had never ridden a track like it or gone over jumps, I kind of had this kind of drive to win, really. I'm quite competitive. Go big or go home. So I think in the racing it was Samantha Frith.
Sam Frith, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was her and I got through into like the final together with, I can't even remember who else was in it. Maybe Jess Gatley and was it Nat Reynolds? I don't remember. But I think I did fairly well. I'm not even sure. It's all a blur, but yeah. I remember it being absolutely brilliant.
Oh, well, finals in your first outing. And did you win?
That's a very good question. Matt might know the answer.
You know, on a spreadsheet somewhere.
Well, we'll have to wait a week or two to find out the answer for that. But I'm sure that Matt will be waiting Sunday morning, 9 o'clock, keyboard ready to edit on in real time. And so you did the Edge, and you said you did Hales as well. Hales, or would have been Super Bowl, right? Would it have been Ride the Hills still then, or would it change to Hales?
I'm not sure. I think it was Hales potentially at the time.
Yeah, I think I think you might be right by that point.
And yeah, that was another fantastic experience. I absolutely loved it. I remember the first weekend, it was more the social that I remember, going up in a massive convoy of everyone at night through the forest and up to the caves. I remember we got up to the caves and the caves had already been lit up. I think we must have like crashed someone's date or something. Candles had been lit around the caves.
Well, 20 or 30 stinking mountain boarders turn up. All in full swing. You all right there?
Yeah, cat's molting.
You're not supposed to eat it.
Are you not? That's why I go through so many of them.
What, cats?
Yeah.
Just wear them out. Slowly wear the cats out, like eating them hairball at a time.
I just remembered. So at the Edge, I have a feeling Ted from Trampa asked me if I would ride for the Trampa team that weekend, because I'd just gotten a new Trampa board. So it was my first ever board after my Keo Air. And I think he had asked me to ride for them that weekend. So I think I then did Hales and was racing and did the freestyle. I couldn't really do much at the time other than just jump over and get down the track in one piece. But that was pretty much good enough, I think, at the time to have a good go at it. I think Nat Reynolds was at Hales, and M Thrower, perhaps, and Sam Frith. I think that was the four of us potentially in the final. I might be wrong, so apologies if I'm completely missing people out, and it's a long time ago now.
That's all right. We deal on voters. Yeah. We don't do that. We don't do facts. So I'm assuming then that you're probably getting on to sort of 17, 18 by this point now. And will surf, you're still in Ireland at this point, I'm assuming. Was Surf the Dirt still going there?
Surf and Dirt was still going. Surf and Dirt was still going. And then when I was 18, I left the UK altogether and went and lived on a tall ship for a year. But I took my mountain board with me.
On a tall ship?
On a tall ship.
Yeah. So this is how much I fell in love with mountain boarding, basically. I took my mountain board with me around the Atlantic and got off in various different places. One of my friends, he was also on the boat. He brought his mountain board. So there was two of us that had boards. And when we stopped in different countries, we'd get out, find a grass patch in the city that we docked in, and kind of just ride down some hills. We had this mad plan when we got to Brazil to meet up with the Brazilian mountain boarders and try to go riding with them in Brazil. But unfortunately, we were at the opposite end of Brazil to where their mountain boarding park was. And we didn't have enough time or money at the time to get across the country to go and ride with them, which was a real shame. Instead, we went kite surfing. We spent 3 weeks kite surfing, which was pretty awesome. And being able to mountain board and learning kind of that board sport kind of basics really helped transition into learning how to kite surf, and that was an awesome experience. But yeah, I traveled around the Atlantic with my mountain board in tow, did some free riding in the forests in Canada.
So how many countries do you reckon you've mountain boarded in?
I reckon that with the mountain board and then the years since, I've probably mountain boarded maybe 20, 30 different countries.
Well, you need to get a different shade of colour for that map behind you. Start filling them in with the countries you've mountain boarded in.
Just go.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, though. 20.
I reckon so. When you then take into consideration all of the road trips around Europe when I was at uni and stuff, and then later on I took my mountain board out to Fiji with me. So yeah, it's been around.
Both of which of those times we have questions regarding.
Right. Okay.
We'll get on to those in due course, but just giving you a heads up on that. So I do kind of have a question. I'm assuming, did you go to, we now know that you didn't go to uni in Ireland, you came over to Plymouth there. And I think I'm right in thinking that about that time Surf the Dirt would have started to look towards potentially of closing.
Yeah, so I think when I came back after a year on a tall ship, I think Surf and Dirt had at that point pretty much closed. It was the last kind of summer season. I'd taken up kind of frisbee golf instead of mountainboarding. It was a much more popular sport at the time. I think Gary, I met up with him a couple of years, was it a year ago or the year before? I met up with Johnny and Gary. Gary was the owner of Surf and Dirt. He's still doing the frisbee golf and still about, still driving his buses and still the same old. Hopefully can maybe convince him to get back on a mountain board, maybe if he's listening. It was really good to see him though. But yeah, it would have closed around 2008, 2009 perhaps.
Yeah. While we're here, I'm going to butt in with a question, because it is, we've kind of half answered it, I think, in part. And this, we've got a video for this one. Now, got a bit. I want you, when it plays out, I want you to insert the word Ireland instead of the word Scotland. Okay, because it's coming from Seb Cox, and I think he got a bit confused, obviously, with the fact that you're living in Scotland, and so
we're forgiven.
but it's kind of relevant to the Irish scene, I thought. So if you give me one moment whilst I find that one, and it should be right here.
David Marshall, that was the other Northern Irish rider, and he's got an electric mountain board, I believe now. I want to try and meet up with him when I go back over, because there's some really good trails, I think, in Northern Ireland, especially from Tullymore and Castlewellan. Yeah, but I think David Marshall, he was the other one that was about at the time when I learned to ride, and he's recently got an electric mountain board. So that's, I think, something I'm going to have to try and do, and maybe this year.
Yeah, definitely. If you're heading back to that side of the channel, it's definitely worth taking the electric board.
Oh, for sure.
There's for exploring, it's got to be an incredible place, I reckon, to go exploring over there. Anyhow, I have Seb Cox's question here. Remember, in Ireland instead of Scotland.
Hi Lisa, Seb here, big fan. Really enjoyed watching you compete at the Champs this year. It was awesome, amazing. Just wanted to ask, back in my day when I used to ride as a nipper, there was a huge Scottish scene, and it seems like a lot of that's disappeared now. So just wanted to see if you're in touch with any of the old school Scottish riders, or why it dropped off in Scotland. But yeah, keep ripping. Cheers. Hi Lisa.
Is it in an airport?
No, it's in a train station.
Oh,
People are busy. We've got to take what we can get here, man. We've not got the budget to fly him into the studio. But yeah, I think it was kind of relevant more so to the Irish scene, because I think, well, not more so, but because both have calmed down a little bit. But there seems to be a bit of a stronghold right now in Scotland. I think there's definitely some activity going on. But yeah, you mentioned David Marshall is now on an electric board. Are there any other? Are the Gormans still riding? I think
Sam's in Scotland. I think he's over in Edinburgh. Don't know how much riding mountain board wise that either of them really do. Leo, I think, is down in Bristol. I think they're still riding in one way or another. Maybe it's longboarding or skateboarding. But I haven't really seen them very much in the mountain boarding sense. Johnny, unfortunately, from the Irish scene, he gave up mountain boarding, but he's very much still in contact. And David, I've heard, got an electric mountain board, so he's one I'm keen to kind of meet up with. But then Adam Conacher, I don't know if I've even said that right, but Adam, he's originally from Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
He started, I think, just after I'd left, but around the same sort of time, surf and dirt sort of era. He's now up in Glasgow. So we've come across the water. I met up with him a few times when I was still over in Ireland during COVID. We met up in kind of Dundrum Forest and went riding a few times at Dundrum Castle. But he's now over in Scotland, and there is kind of a stronger Scottish team. It's mostly over kind of, I think, central belt over Edinburgh direction. But there's Adam's only 45 minutes up the road from me, so I've been able to get out riding at the skate park and up at Catkinbray with him and a few of the other riders up here. And then obviously you've got the borders now, it's not too far away. So hopefully now that I'm over in Scotland and on the mainland, I'll get some more riding and maybe help
I think
get some meetups again.
Reece Crilly
together,
should be hilled around.
Oh, yeah, Reece is here too, isn't he? Yeah.
He's not sent in a question, unfortunately, but Adam has.
Oh.
So where are I? There's so many here tonight. It's great. We don't even have to ask a question, but I do feel like I have to.
Well, can I ask a question while you're looking for the next question?
Yeah, of course. Go for it, man.
What's your current setup at the moment, Lisa? What are you riding?
He's on with the board porn.
So I upgraded myself last year. I got a Haero deck and put the MBS new trucks on it. I've got MBS bindings too on that board, but tramper treads and hubs. So that's what I'm currently riding. Before, I had probably not changed my board for 10 years. It was a Tom Kirkman MBS, trusty board. Still have it, still ride it. But yeah, I've upgraded now onto the Haero deck, and I've got the electric tramper board.
Nice. Best of both worlds.
Yeah,
a little bit.
Now, I wish I'd known you was going to go into current setup, because I've got a question related to that as well. Honest, it may not seem like right. So there's the list of questions. Every one of those is a different one, and some of those, this one right up the top, Team Neat, there's like 4 questions within that, and the same with Plymouth Uni. There's loads. I
haven't even
go with what I said was going to go with first, and that was Adam David. And he says he sends apologies for doing it via me asking, but he's got a spicy cough, as Ash calls it. He asks, what was the best event you've ever been to? I'm assuming Mountainboard, as opposed to a quad biking or a kite surfing event.
Or tall ships.
Or, yeah.
No, they are very good. Mountainboard event. Probably when I wasn't actually riding. The Fat Face Night Air. I wasn't riding, but I went down to the Fat Face Night Air, and that was just awesome.
Oh, they were mega. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Just the tricks that were kind of being thrown at the time were just insane, and the atmosphere, and I guess the sponsors, and just the number of riders and the crowd and everything at the time. But in terms of the best event, I love every single one. I don't think I have a favorite, to be honest. Even just the time trials that have happened recently on the pump tracks around the UK. I've only unfortunately been able to get up to one which is in Catkinbray in Scotland. But even those little events, it's just really nice to meet up with other riders and have a laugh and push yourself a little bit, be a little bit competitive, but yeah, just enjoy the sport. So I don't have a favorite event.
Fair enough. I'm not going to argue with that.
I went back to Swanbuck in the summer just gone. We were up that way, and I said up to them, let's just pull in so I can see what's going on there now. And they've levelled the whole of it. It's all terrace campsites now, where everything was, all the board across and the big airs and stuff. And they've got a little tiny bit of gradient, just flat, just grass, about 20 meters long, and the mountain boarding sign is bigger than the grass it's on now. It was such a shame to see it, like just all terraced off for camping now there.
I got to say, I love that little sort of step up to quarter that they had down there. That was a wicked feature there.
What was the other little track that used to be up on the north coast near Bude? It never had a competition.
Watergate.
Yeah.
Newquay, that one was, wasn't it? Extreme Academy in Newquay.
No, not Extreme Academy. There was another one.
Ivy Leaf.
Ivy Leaf. That was it. Ivy Leaf.
If it is,
I never went to Ivy Leaf. I've heard of it, but I'm not sure I ever went there.
It was the most bizarre little mountain board place. It was built kind of on top of a hill, pretty much on the flat, pointing the wrong direction. So you were always riding into the wind, and it was super slow. You could never get any speed, and the track probably was only wide enough for maybe 3-person racing at the best. But it was really good practice for learning to pump. And if you didn't pump, you didn't go anywhere.
Uphill and into the wind, pump training.
Not quite, but yeah, that's what it was like.
See, going back to your setup now, I have a question come in from Phil. Phil, I hope I'm not going to offend with my pronunciation. Ein, the owner, operator, producer, manufacturer, inventor, whatever you want to call him, of Haero Boards, and he has simply. His question is quite simply, do you need a new deck? We would love to sponsor a killer freestyle girl like yourself. And I got to say, I am stoked to be able to laugh at that. Yeah, I mean, I think that's awesome, to be fair. But do you want a free deck? If not, I'll have it. Just send it my way.
Yeah, of course I would. That would be amazing. Honestly, the board is brilliant. It's one of the first boards I think I've ridden that your feet just kind of sink into it and you feel so secure, and the board kind of feels glued to you, as opposed to you're kind of having to fight a little bit with the board or really tighten your bindings up. The deck, I've really enjoyed riding it. So yeah, that would be amazing.
having that concave.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Yes, please, Phil.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put you guys in contact, or I don't need to put you in contact. Send her a message. Send her a message after this and go, yeah, here's my address. So excellent. But going back to that deck, and you say about the design of it, it is something that's there's worth in it, because I don't know if it's the same with your Tom Kirkman, but classically, I mean, the old MBS Comp 16s. They're a flat underfoot, and it doesn't lend itself to good grip, good sort of like
your toes are generally kind of overhanging, or
that monkey, like I call it monkey toes.
And I struggle with that really bad because I've got size 11.5 feet, so I'm always over the board on both sides.
And you're on a Comp 6, the old green now, aren't you? Comp 16.
I haven't set that up yet. I'm still on the Leon Robbins.
So
yeah, you'll be clawing that.
Yeah, I'm clawing it all the time. Yeah, and you just can't seem to relax.
Yeah, I mean, Tramper have sorted that out with those new foot plates. They're super comfy. But obviously the heroes and the same with I've not got it up there anymore, it's over there, the collab. It's nice to have that little bed that you can sink into and not have the the extra width underfoot, not be hanging off. There's definitely
I think I left the UK in 2011 or 2012, and I went over to Fiji, And at that time, the Kirkman was relatively new. I'd only been around a couple of years. There was the new graphics. And then I seem to have come back after maybe disappearing for a little while to the other side of the world. And the board technology and everything has just progressed really quickly all of a sudden. And even with the trucks now, the electric boards, and you've now got Apex electric boards, you've got the Haeros. The collabs were pretty much been and gone by the time I came back. It's awesome, to be fair. It's really nice to see internationally mountain boarding really growing again. I think it's good for the sport.
It does feel like that, doesn't it?
A little bit, I think so.
I don't know whether it's because me and Dan have immersed ourselves in it more that it feels like it, or whether it is actually happening.
Yeah, it's hard to say. There's no statistics or spreadsheets saying about popularity around the world at the moment. I mean, I think the guys in Oz seem to be doing pretty well at getting the word out as such. Japan's always seemed to have a strong following there. And some of the Eastern European countries have been, pretty strong in recent years. France is still really strong. Maybe it's just the UK and the US that have started to tail them. Yeah. Need to kick up their asses. That's what we need.
We're making an effort, I think. I think COVID, to be fair, probably is everyone's chilled out and now really driving right. And it's time to get out. And I know COVID really pulled my board out of the cupboard. Although it got dragged to Fiji with me, I didn't ride it very much. And then I was in China for a wee bit and didn't really ride much over there. But after spending some time snowboarding and COVID happening, I found myself with a lot of extra time and dusting the cobwebs off the board and going out I was in my parents' house in Northern Ireland, and big garden, hill, gas pipe, little wooden kicker, and thought, right, why not? So I spent the first few weeks of lockdown basically just dusting off all the cobwebs and picking it back up, and hopefully a lot of other people have done the same thing, I think.
I tell you what, it definitely did you well, judging by, your performance at this year's or last year's now championships. The lockdown definitely saw you all right with if you was out training and getting your eye back in. That
would have been your first year in the Masters as well, wouldn't it? Because 2020 it would have been your first year, but it got cancelled because of COVID. So it was your first year going into the Masters. So you certainly threw the fucking cat amongst the pigeons there, didn't you?
I had so much fun. Absolutely brilliant. I'm excited for this year, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm trying to think now. Have we got? I'm sure that there are some bits relating. I think maybe one of the team neat questions might be relating to it, but I don't want to give you the team neat one because it's on video and it's a really good one. We'll get to that a little bit later. But touching on that, in fact, there is definitely a question there, but it's a funny one. How did you come to find yourself competing in the Masters at this year's championships? Were there any other female riders there this year? I'm pretty sure that there are female riders on the hill. No,
there was. Who was it? It was Mark Hale's.
What, Mark Hale's lady?
I think so.
Liska?
No, it wasn't. Who was it?
It was Nash's missus.
It was Nash. Yes.
What's Nash's missus? I forgot her name.
In Zioni is possibly, I think, might be.
Oh no!
Instagram,
I'm really sorry. I'm so sorry.
I'm going to Google it.
I've not met as far as I know, so I'm feeling okay that I'm not.
Oh no, I'm so embarrassed. This is really bad.
But obviously,
we were at the top of the hill. Honestly, you see the first competition. I'd spent, I think, probably maybe 4 months. Even though I'd picked up the board through the lockdown, I started working again, and I'd been working as a boat captain. So I hadn't really stepped off the boat much. I'd been riding a little bit, but I kind of got onto the track, and I couldn't remember how to turn. I fell over on like the first roller. I couldn't make it down. I couldn't make it past the first like step up. I think I fell over that as well. And then I fell on the heel side a few times that first berm. Yeah, it took me at least half a dozen runs this last year to actually get down the track.
well,
And then once I got down the track, it was fine. So I started off actually the first kind of qualifying as riding in the ladies. And then once I kind of found my feet, I thought, right, okay. And I think then, was it Susie? No. Who was it? She got injured, I think. And then I had automatically went into the Masters, or something happened, but I think I decided to go in the Masters, and I wanted a good race because I found my feet again and I really wanted to give it a go and repeat
you really
it.
are competitive, aren't you? You really are competitive.
And also, Bieran was racing. Last time I was at Hales, the two of us, well, I still blame him. He came too close. That was his fault. We took each other out, I think. The last time.
I do actually have photographic evidence of that incident.
Oh no!
And you're completely right, Lisa. It was completely 100% Bieran.
It was, wasn't it?
100% Bieran. You're clearly riding. He's clearly fallen in front of you and attempted to take you out. I mean that.
Exactly.
The photos come from Reuters, not from me. There's no context before or after, but I'm using my my media prowess to sort of glaze over that fact and just say that yes, it's categorically is Bieran's fault.
We know Bieran.
Yeah, that is possibly the most likely.
In front of you and then taking you out is very likely.
Exactly it. That was it.
So was the 21 champs, was that your first champs racing the chaps?
No. So when I went to university, I came back from the boat, went to uni in Plymouth, and they had Plymouth Uni all-terrain boarders, so PUATB.
Which I only fucking found out about this week.
Wait.
Well, through the conversations
that we've had.
Episode.
Right, and I live in Plymouth.
No.
Before that, I lived in Salt Ash, so I lived just across the water. So, like,
with the little skate park.
Yeah, Salt Mill. Yeah, with a little skate park and the dirt, the tiny board across there as well. Yeah. So was Bieran with you?
So he was just about finishing uni when I'd started, but he was still about.
But he hung around down here, didn't he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And he never really left kind of the southwest of, I suppose, England, I guess. He was always sort of about, and he was friendly with the other guys that were in the club. There was a really strong group of riders. Simon Neck. Who else? It was Chris Seymour. It was a no snow. They got me into kind of riding a no snow at one point, and we all went out to the Alps for a week's kind of free riding. I had a cut up tramper deck with no snow soft bindings and
Nompa.
Yeah, a Nompa, and just normal hydraulic brakes. I think I didn't have disc brakes or anything, but I loved it. I think my riding really progressed then when I was at uni, and we were out riding Wednesdays, Saturdays, Sundays. We went up. We were at Mount Edgecombe. There was Rooster Park in
Rooster
Cornwall.
Park. Yeah, that was up on the peninsula, wasn't it? Up by Whitsand Beach.
Yeah, right on the top.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Maker, I think it was.
Maker Heights.
Yeah, that's it. They do a festival there, don't they?
Yeah.
So,
is Rooster Park still there?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was there for very long. I never actually made it there.
So I made it to Maker.
I never made it to Maker. No.
There was a couple of roll-ins. There's 2 different jumps. There's a wee quarter pipe. There's a little kind of roller and berm, and there's a rail. And then we had built like this kind of like free ride track and some berms up down the back of the quarter pipe. I remember Simon trying some weird transitions off that quarter pipe. Potentially nearly ending up in a tree once or twice.
That's unlike Simon to end up in trees.
No, not at all. So there was Rooster Park. I think James Wanklin came down and rode with us at Rooster Park at one point as well. But yeah, I spent a lot of time kind of Mount Edgecombe, riding down the valley. There was the front with the wee castle. The kind of snake
on the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've ridden there before. Where did you do Can Woods, which was the local mountain biking tracks?
Yeah, so we went to Can Woods quite a few times. I think free riding really, when I was in Plymouth, really helped my riding anyway. And I was always told to man up. I was pretty much the only female the majority of the time. There were a few other female riders that would come out, and there was a lot more longboard female riders at the time, sort of in the club. But there were a few that came. I think Fiona and Tamsin, they were part of the kind of the riding down there. Kind of we pushed each other, but I mostly was out with the guys and always being told just to man up. And typically I generally did go myself down drops or do something stupid that probably wasn't the most wisest, but
yeah, as long as it was good peer pressure, not bad peer pressure, that's all right.
Is there such thing as bad peer pressure?
Do you want some of their questions?
Yeah, go on.
Do you want some of the Plymouth Uni ATB Club questions?
Oh God, right. Go on.
So you said about who put in there. We've got questions here, not only from, well, we'll just class them all as one, but we've got Chris Alastair. I've not got surnames.
Right.
Oh, hold up. Yes, I can.
Ali.
I've got Alastair York. Ali York.
Ali York. Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Another York, Dick York. Is that a brother?
Yeah. They're brothers.
Mark Sewell. Is Morgan Price.
Oh, dude.
And I'm going to assume this one is. Would there be a Stephen Ramey?
Yeah, Stefan.
Okay, Stefan. And Simon Neck. So Simon Neck reached out to the crew as such and asked them all if they had any questions, and they've all sort of chimed in with a few bits. But some of them we've already asked or have talked about or have other bits and pieces related to. So when we get to those, I'll try and deal with it. So Morgan has asked, what is the best boarding spot around Plymouth? So I'm assuming that it'll be one of those that we've just talked about.
Yeah,
and Chris Seymour has also asked that same question. Bieran has mentioned. Sorry.
Can I answer this question as well then?
Yeah, if you want. Bieran has put a slight spin on it, so we'll ask his separately. But yeah, favorite spot around Plymouth for riding from back in the day.
I mean, I loved Mount Edgecombe. I love the valley, the little bit that we stopped at. There's these little free ride routes. No, they weren't really free ride routes. They were like little trails through leaves of grass and some branches, really. There's a couple of drops, but the valley was really cool. I loved Mount Edgecombe. Best place to ride though, Canwoods was pretty good.
It's only got better as well. They're always cutting new tracks in there.
Yeah. We ventured up onto kind of Dartmoor once or twice. Never really found anywhere fantastic. I mean, I loved our days in Central Park. Central Park in Plymouth. It was great. There's do you know Central Park near I don't even remember, Pennycombe Quick Roundabout? That bank.
Yeah. The skate park's had a phase 2 added to it since you've been down here as well. Yeah. So you got an old school 70s snake run and a pool there as well now. Well, not a pool, it's more of a bowl than anything, but it's really good in there.
That's pretty cool. I'm gonna have to come down to that part of the world at some stage. But no, we used to spend days just teaching anyone that wanted to learn, beginners, newbies. That's how I kind of got to know the PUATB crew. I went along to one of the beginner days in Central Park, and it was there was a little kicker that they had, one of those little plastic Argos kickers, and that was just a little grassy slope. I quite enjoyed going there. And there was the hoe drop. Plymouth hoe drop. I don't think they ever got me to do the hoe drop. It was the one thing that they were trying to get every single person to do, was to do the hoe drop. Down at the hoe, there was one of the paths and grass banks just under the lighthouse.
Yeah.
It was basically a gap jump, but you only had about 3 meters to stop before you fell off the end again.
Yeah, just below the wedding cake.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think what you mean.
Are you talking the same language as me right now? Who drops wedding cakes and 3 meters to stop? I'll have to. I want to see this. We'll have to do a Plymouth session, Sloggett.
Yeah.
I think I need to come and do a Plymouth session, to be honest.
Please do.
I've missed being part of kind of the mountainboarding community, to be honest. I've had a fantastic kind of 8 years living in Fiji, living in China, doing this and that, but it's quite nice to be back in the UK, to be fair. It's quite nice to have a mountainboard and go, I think I want to go there this weekend. I wonder if anyone's about, if there's anyone to go riding with. So I'm really looking forward to being able to do that this year and the coming years. I've definitely missed it.
Any old mountain boarders, well, it doesn't. Age is not dependent on it, but anyone's always welcome back into the fold. That's for sure. I don't think anybody ever really leaves it. I think I'd be right to assume that even whilst you're away, your thoughts were probably never far away from mountain boarding, or you'd be seeing something and thinking, I wish I had my mountain board, or I wish I had the time to ride there, or I need to return to ride there.
Always looking at terrain with a different eye than other people.
Yes, that, and you see, when you learn to longboard as well, I think the two sports really complement each other quite well, because you never stop looking, because then you're looking at the banks over there, through the trails, through the trees, but then you're also looking at the tarmac and the bends.
Yeah,
oh, that's a really nice bit of road.
Well, that's smooth. The trick is, though, not to ride the all-terrain on the road too much. But if you want, you can go the other way. Ride the road ride the urethane on the mud. That's always fun. I
did do that quite a lot in Fiji, actually, because I ended up, I brought my mountain board back because I wasn't using it, but I had my longboard. And when I moved to the west of Fiji, I lived in a very rural area. If my car wasn't working, or if I didn't have a car for any reason, I had to walk about 40 minutes by foot just to get to the main road, to then be able to hitchhike to work. It was on a farm. It was a beautiful spot, but I had my longboard. And there was this big grassy hill. So I just got to the top of it and kind of come down the grassy hill. But this grassy hill used to get invaded by frogs. Now, I'm not actually shitting you. I came back one day and there were thousands and thousands of frogs coming up towards the house from down in the... No kidding. Like, it was just a garden and field of frogs. I might have played football once or twice because they were getting very close to the door.
We can't endorse that sort of behaviour, obviously, but I should imagine they've become a bit of a pest by that point. There's probably not much you can do.
Well, it was it was that, or they were going to start coming into the house, and I didn't fancy them joining me in bed, so they could disappear. But no, I took my longboard down a few hills when I was in Fiji, and there were some nice places to kind of longboard, but I didn't get a chance to really mountainboard a huge amount out there. Bit of surfing. I was on a board of some description, just not a mountainboard when I was out that part of the world, unfortunately. I really hope to get to maybe New Zealand or Australia and do some riding. But just timing's never worked out. One thing happens, and so yeah, it's nice to be back.
Not hoping to go out to Australia for the champs then?
Well,
oh, what do I just lucky dip in there? What?
I really want to. You see, the thing is, I need to go back to Fiji anyway.
Right.
So could I maybe tie in the world champs in December with the trip to Fiji, because I need to sell my car and pick up all the things in life that's still there.
It's the obvious answer is yes.
Yeah, I really want to go to the World Championships, and they're in December. What date was it again?
I think it was around about in the teens, I believe.
Yeah, that's the only issue with it, you see. It's too early, I think. Because
you'd be coming back just before Christmas, if you were wanting to be at home for Christmas. That's for sure.
But yeah, I'm very, very tempted. I just need to work out whether or not it's feasible. But yes, I would love to go to the World Championships.
So it'd be a cool little accolade for you there. I reckon you'd be in with the run-ins.
Well, I reckon I'd like to get down to some bigger jumps this year, and I'd like to maybe come to Bugs, try the airbag. If there's any other airbags or foam pits out and about, resi ramps, some skate parks, maybe a few weekends. Yeah, I'd quite like to have a go at maybe going out to Australia and seeing what we could do.
Do it. Definitely do.
Are you going out?
No.
No.
It's a simple answer. I contemplated it. I looked at it, and I couldn't really do it without taking the family, because it's somewhere that my wife's wanted to go for a long time. And I felt it a bit unfair that I were to go, even if it were just for do a short, literally a horrendous sort of week-long thing. It's still great a bit too much, I think.
Take the piss, I think, is more the words you're looking for, rather than great.
So we did try to look into doing it as a family, but even so, for them to have gotten to the event and to have tried to have some sort of family holiday, to get 2 weeks on the ground, we'd have had to have taken about 3.5 weeks off of work. And it's just, because by where we are in Cornwall, it's so far to travel to an airport, even that's another day in itself added on to the 2 days of travel. And it was just too much.
I'll need to get the pass if I'm able to go, because we've also talked about whether or not, because if I was going to Australia, my partner's kids would also really, really want to go, and it's kind of like it's the guiltiness of, can I just go on my own? And I'll just go for 10 days or something, and I'll be back.
Well, that was exactly the sort of thing that went through my mind. I know my body could put up with the jet lag and the 3 or 4 days of traveling each side to even just go for a long weekend, but it would still piss them right off. Yeah, so that's where I'm at with it, and we've got plenty to keep us going this year, to be fair.
Bugs is quite a long trek for you, really, from where you are as well, isn't it?
Bugs, I think it's probably about 6 hours, I think, if not a wee bit more. It is a bit of a trek.
Yeah, that's going to be like every other weekend then, really, isn't it? You won't be able to do it every weekend.
Possibly just the weekends that I need to go to work.
That's the way to do it.
So that's what I'm thinking. But yeah, I might have to wait and be a little bit less often than what I'd like. But
you got some decent skate parks with resi and foam pits up your end, really, haven't you?
I've got a local skate park just around the corner called Shred. There's no kind of foam pits or resi bar. Well, there is a foam pit, but the roll-in's like a death drop. It is not one for building speed. It is one for killing your speed and absolutely destroying your knees in the process. You've got these little kind of 8-year-old boys that are on their micro scooters going down it and then still having to push up the jump into the foam pit. So it's not the most usable foam pits at Shred, but it's got a really cool little like bowl section. Adam's actually been up and he's done some mental drops and stuff into it. So there are some really nice little places to ride. You've got Loading Bay up in Glasgow. Yeah, it's not bad.
We've come away from the Plymouth Uni questions, but I've still got a couple more from them. So we'll head back onto those for a sec, if that's all right with you. Some simple ones here. It's come from Mark Sewell. We've crossed paths through Pleasure and Courchevel. But he asked, what was your worst accident?
What was my worst accident?
I'm assuming riding it, as opposed to hitting your thumb with a hammer or something like that.
Touch wood. I've got off quite lightly, but I mean, there was one where we were at Kirkman's backyard and Morgan and I did a train. Morgan did a backside 360 and was supposed to go up the left of the quarter pipe and come back down the same side. I did a front side 3. I was going up the right of the quarter pipe and to come back down that same side. But as I went up the right, Morgan had already kind of come across the quarter and was coming straight down. And we collided pretty much. I think my fist kind of wrist took the whole impact of him coming down and we collided and just crushed to the floor. And that was pretty sore. I had a very sore wrist, but luckily nothing was broken or anything.
I mean, obviously that time that Beeren nearly took you out would have obviously been.
Yeah, that was pretty bad. How dare he take me out? Probably been taken out a few times by a few of the Plymouth Uni lot, to be honest. They'll probably argue that I took them out. There's no crash that kind of stands out that makes me go, I wouldn't pick up a mountain board again. And touch wood, maybe I've got off lightly, but I'll keep riding.
Well, you talked about Morgan there and or mentioned him. I've got to say, I like his style of question. There was no high or nothing, just straight in with the bone of contention question.
Right.
Who's the best rider at Plymouth Uni ATB? I'm assuming he's not specified that you can't say yourself here, by the way.
Each one of them have their own unique style. And I wouldn't be able to pick out which one was ever the best rider. I mean, Simon probably got some of the better results, but I can never get over watching him try a backflip on a makeshift ramp in the rain and in the pro category, and they made the gap wider. And I think every time he went for a backflip, we all kind of like clinched, and eventually it ended up where his back truck caught on the top of the landing, and he kind of got flung out. I was hanging upside down with one leg in the air, still strapped into the board, and the truck had kind of still somehow magically was still attached to the board, but by like one screw. So there was definitely some sketchy moments. I mean, Morgan, it was great fun racing. Mark was a fantastic kind of free ride. Never really enjoyed being beaten at all. Was very competitive. Mark was a good kind of downhill rider, definitely. To be honest, each person at PUATB, I mean, you had Paul Ripley, Shagface, typically always provided a laugh. There was Mitch, there was Tweak. Yeah, each person had their own unique styles. Yeah. And I think together it was a really good group of riders to ride with and progress with over the years. We really pushed each other, and we were always trying to maybe outdo one another in one way or another. Well,
hopefully you can persuade a few of them to come back on the hill for this year.
Yeah, that'd be good. I'm sure Mark will probably be, or will hopefully be at Mount Fest. He was there last year. Chris Seymour, we've seen him recently, although he's on bike now. I think he said his knees were hurting. Bieran wasn't there at the same time as you. Am I right in making? He
was still about though. He was still about and still came out riding. Chris, Si, Morgan, Ali, they all sort of knew Bieran before I sort of joined. So just through those connections, I got to ride with sort of Bieran on a handful of times at uni.
He has, or him and Simon are the last two. Oh, sorry, actually, I've got one from Alistair.
From Ali.
Which I'll remind me, because I want to ask this question later and dive into it as a subject on its own. So we'll go with Bieran's question. And what is your best / ultimate free ride spot?
Ooh.
Doesn't not Plymouth specific, by the way. I'm assuming, given the travels, there may be a couple of unique ones.
Cleve Hill's pretty darn awesome, to be honest. Like, everyone loves Cleve. There was a Cheddar Valley, and back home, Castlewell and Forest Park, Ross Trevor Forest Park. Ross Trevor Forest Park's awesome because it's got a mix of kind of walking trails, entry level kind of beginner family orientated cycling paths, but then you've also kind of got your graded bike trails, but it's all open and there's no one ever there to stop you. Yeah, I love that spot actually. I really want to go back with a couple of people and actually ride it properly.
Oh yeah,
that sounds all right. That does,
doesn't it? I'll have a bit of that. And the last of the Plymouth Uni bar, the one that I shall go into later, is from Simon, and his is similar to Bieran's. But what's your best mountain board moment?
Ooh. Probably the first time I landed a backflip on dirt.
Nice.
Yeah, I was quite pleased with that one. I think it was at the Maddox, Josh Maddox place. Might have been the time Cypher rolled his car. I might be wrong on that one, but I think the two events might be correlated. It was a pretty eventful day, if I remember correctly. But yeah, I'd learnt how to do a backflip, mostly just flipping upside down for a very long time in the foam pit. But Josh had this amazing setup. Did you ever go up to the Maddox?
No, I didn't know. I think I would have spent quite a bit of time in France and then was down here for a number of years, not riding as such with the community. So it may well have been in that period.
Yeah, so he was at North Cornwall somewhere. And he had this amazing kind of rolling setup with the dirt jump and there was a second jump after as well, and he was making a third little one with a rail. I don't like rails. I've tried, still don't like them. But the foam pit was awesome, and yeah, I learned how to backflip in the foam pit, and I took it to dirt, and I think I landed it second time round, and that was it. I didn't do it again. I did it. I was happy. I was super chuffed. That was a big one for me, I think.
Well, hopefully someone else on this call will experience that feeling this summer.
We'll see, man. Hopefully.
Do it.
You can do it.
The problem is, I told you my plan, and then you fucking announced it on here. So, like, you've not only given me your fucking peer pressure, but it's just fucking the full peer pressure of everyone now. So I'm gonna have to fucking try it at least.
Well, everyone's doing it. Everyone else is doing it.
Very true.
Just do it.
Yeah.
So
I'll even try. Well, we got Brindy's birthday weekend, didn't we, at Rampworld?
Yeah, that'd be Resi.
Have they got a foam pit there at all?
Yeah, they've got the foam pit, but
I'll have to dial my eye back in then. And if I can nail one this weekend, so can you.
Onto
Resi.
And then we'll have to take it to Dirt at Bugs first weekend it's open.
Yeah, I might not make it along the first weekend it's open, but yeah, we'll definitely take it to Bugs and the Dirt.
When does Bugs open?
I think it was first weekend in April, or was it? Or Easter?
Dave said he leaves it to the last minute and decides weather-wise.
Right.
He don't stick a date on it. He'll say, "Oh, yeah, it's looking all right now," and he'll just open up.
Hopefully Easter then.
Yeah. If it's an early Easter or late Easter this year?
Don't know.
I don't know.
Let's do time zones.
They put a post out on Facebook today asking for people to go and do a bit of raking of the tracks this weekend. So it sounds like it might be pretty close.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
That's exciting. I do enjoy going to a centre because especially now, there's not a huge number of people around this area that I know. Although I've got Adam and there's Reese and there are the other Scottish riders, it's still quite an hour's drive away. So it's nice to actually get down to a centre and just kind of have your local riders turning up and just meeting new people really, and kind of seeing, especially youngsters these days. It's really nice to see young guys riding, and I think there's a lot more younger females trying the sport now, especially at places like Bugs when you go to the centres. It's nice to see. Yeah,
there's always kids knocking around that hill be it on boards, sledges, the dirt scooters. I mean, obviously I'd rather see them all on mountain boards and nothing else, because I want to see Mountainboard do really well. But just seeing them enjoying the hill, enjoying the features in whatever way, shape, or form. Because like I say, I might look across and they'll be on a dirt sledge, but then an hour later they're probably on a mountain board. So it's just being there and having the fun, isn't it? It's feeding of the other people's stoke, and kids have got bundles of it, haven't they? That's why LA Mountainboard's Instagram posts are always just absolutely incredible.
That park looks awesome. I really want to go.
Dream Park. Yeah.
There's definitely some good parks. There's been some good parks, and there are definitely some new parks that look quite exciting, and I really kind of want to go to. LA Mountainboard is definitely one of them. Yeah.
There are definitely more springing up around the world. The New Zealand one that we spoke about, the boys in Portugal, the Sintra crew are constantly evolving their little patch of land, haven't they?
Yeah. Dylan's working on his bit of a green, isn't he?
And Central and South America as well, with the likes of Purist Park in the jungle in Brazil, and the guys, I forget the name of the centre, but where they've just had that competition in Costa Rica. They're doing their groundworking all the time, so there must be some expansion of the scene happening for that to warrant that. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I've got. We'll go on to my question that I'm going to share with Alistair here. And this is going to come up to date a little bit here. And it's not strictly the dirt. We'll call it the Dirty Podcast.
That's very good. Dan.
I quite like it.
Dirty, not dirty. No, not
Dirty.
you filthy buggers. Not bloody going on about all that sexual stuff. No, dirty.
Don't say that word again in that voice. That freaks me the shit out then.
So Alistair has asked, and I'm quite interested by this and would hope to ask it, how has e-boarding affected or impacted your mountain boarding?
Ooh, no,
How long have you had an e-board now for?
So I got my e-board the end of the first lockdown. So it was at 2020. So just before the summer. And it was brilliant. Absolutely love it. I was riding to and from work in the mornings along the north coast, along the cliffs of the north coast of Ireland.
Wow.
I was taking it on the boat with me, and then when I got a chance to stop for a couple of hours waiting on passenger changes in places like Islay and Campbelltown and the Mulligan Tyre, I was just getting the mountain board off the boat and kind of just going exploring. A lot of it was kind of, really narrow country roads or little country trails. But it opened up a whole different world. It's like being able to get out on a bike and let go, but merging the best of both worlds together. You've got your mountain boarding, and especially where I live at the minute, it's quite flat, but there's a big golf course. So if you're going down the coastal path,
I bet they love you.
Oh, hello.
Exactly. There's a nice little lump or something, but it's caught me out once or twice. It looks like a jump. It looks like there's a landing on the other side. Yeah, not always. I've fallen in a couple of sand bunkers. I'm not going to lie. That hurts. But by kind of getting out on the electric board, and I've taken it up to Catkinbray, I've taken it to the local woods down in Troon, there's quite a few spots that I've found that I'm going to go back with my normal board to ride. So I think what it's done is actually open up and make exploring easier, to then find spots where I can actually take my mountain board and go and maybe build something a little bit more, or find some jumps that some of the kids have built for their bikes, for example, that are rideable. So it's helped me find spots to go back to. But I still pick up the mountain board. I still like it.
Yeah. We both feel this exactly the same.
Yeah.
Although they're obviously very closely related, they're still different enough to warrant wanting to ride both.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. So what? Going back to board porn again, then what setup have you got for your electric at the moment?
So I've got Trampo spur drive.
So
and
you riding the 8-inch rims on that?
8-inch. Haven't got myself 9-inch, but I need them. It's not I want them, it's I need them. It's a necessity, I think, especially with the spur drive in the back on a rockier trail. I tend to catch quite a few on the coastal paths around here, certainly. So I definitely need the 9-inch, and that'll open things up a bit more. But yeah, I absolutely love it. I think if I was probably doing it again, maybe I could have held off and waited until the OBD system setup came out. But that might be another gadget upgrade at some stage. Or I wouldn't mind getting my hands on seeing kind of what Apex boards are kind of doing at the minute as well. I've heard some good things about what they're. So I'm kind of open to getting involved a little bit. I don't know a huge lot amount about the electric boards, to be honest. It's mine broke and lay in the cupboard for about 3 months because I just scratched my head and didn't know what to do with it. Fixed eventually, thanks to Trampa. But yeah.
That's my usual get out of jail. Just send it back to them.
But yeah, it did sit in the cupboard for about 3 months because I was just baffled. I mean, the gears had I'd gone out in a very, very wet, muddy trail ride with another boat captain who had an electric bike, and we went out in the north coast of Ireland, and I just sunk. I ended up swimming in a bog, basically, and got caught in a berm, like a little corner, kind of bank corner, big soggy patch, caught me, and I just went straight over hillside backwards and ended up splat in a bog. And since then, the gears had all ground up and all seized, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do with this. So it sat there for quite some time, and then I eventually got it fixed. Definitely need to learn a bit more, but I love them, and both boards are equally as fun as each other. To be fair, you can't give away the old school mountain board. There's something quite enjoyable about gravity driven riding.
Yeah.
Well handled there. Well handled. Yeah, I think that, I mean, the thing with the electrics at the moment is that it's advancing so quickly. You know, be it the battery technology, the motor technology, or even the drive technology. OBDs are fantastic, super quiet and super light. But they struggle even more so in the wet, muddy conditions, which is where the gears come in. But yeah,
it's quite heavy though. I think for a female, the spur drive, it's a heavy board. Like,
and you wait till you try putting 9-inch tires on that as well.
And I mean, like, I've ridden the no snow and the tramper with 9-inch and 10-inch in the Alps and brakes and stuff, but the electric board, I think, it's quite hefty, and I think for a female, that definitely the spur drive with 9-inch tires it's a beast. So that's why the OBD, I think, appeals to me. It's more for kind of like summertime, light trails, get out and about. It's quick and easy, and it's not too difficult probably to lift in and out of the car. Whereas the spur drive.
Plus, it's all for horses for courses as well, because you could go lighter again by having a smaller battery pack and limit your range, but you're going to lose a lot in weight.
That's very true. That is very true.
Whatever you gain in one area, you're going to lose in another area, no matter what you do. I've got 2 more questions. We go to Sarah Watson, who we spoke about earlier. The lovely Sarah's messaged in to ask, where have I lost it now? Here we go. So she has asked, her body is aching so much from a good 7 hours or so in the bedroom this week. Not in the bedroom, sorry, on her board this weekend. Can you ask Lisa if she has any sort of regime or / top tips to keep the aches and pains of mountain boarding at bay?
No. I don't think there is one. I think it's just man up and deal with it, unfortunately, because it hurts the next day. To be fair, the more you ride, the less it does, the less you ache. So the more riding you do, the easier it will get on the body. But a good 7 hours on the board, I mean, nothing I don't think is going to take away.
That's a pretty full-on session now.
Maybe a nice hot bath. That's definitely one thing I enjoy. Is I'll run myself a nice hot bath, load of bath salts, maybe a glass of wine or something, and I'll just go and soak in the bath. But I will still probably ache the next day. But just get back out and ride again, or I'm quite active, so exercise is generally a cure for feeling achy and kind of uncomfortable, just not too much.
Exercise is a cure for exercise. Is that what you're saying?
Pretty much, yeah. Except so is lying on the sofa, sleeping and just being a moany little, a bit like the dog. He's He's knackered by the looks of it. He's had a good run today. I've started taking the dogs out on the electric board. So I leave the house and I've got the kind of the canny fit running leashes for them.
Yeah.
But I've started trying to get them to come out on the board with me. But I live in quite an urban area. So you see, trying to take 2 dogs and teach them how to go with a mountain board down a street with bins, prams, elderly ladies, people opening and closing doors. It's been quite entertaining, but they get and I'm teaching.
Mine loves running a trail, or the big one likes running a trail, but I think I've maybe taken him out from the house once, like just straight out the front door, because for the first 100 meters, all he wants to do is sniff everything, and then you're like, come on, but yeah, he'll love it. He loves it out on the trails, but sod it through the urban areas. That's got to be a right mission.
It's been rather entertaining, but I get round to the local park, and then at the local park we just do laps round and round in circles. There's a couple of little kind of like banks. It's very flat, it's very small, but there's enough to keep me entertained and keep the dogs entertained. Sam loves chasing me. I've also got him pulling me on the normal mountain board, so we'll go out just he's not very good at it yet. I kind of need to dangle like a ball in front of him, but he's getting there.
Have you managed to get the cat to pull you yet, Sloggs?
No, he's lazy shit.
No.
Not interested.
Not interested. Get a new one. Get a new one that's interested in mountainboarding.
One that barks.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Oh.
He's shattered.
I know. Surprised you can't hear him snoring. He was snoring a second ago.
So I have one more question, and then before I pass it over to Sloggs. And we've had to keep going with these questions because looking at the time now, we're banging on like 2 hours, and we barely asked a question ourselves.
It's been right. We could do them all like this.
Yeah, it would be an ideal, wouldn't it? Where are we? So, as I mentioned earlier, the team neat. Oh, look, just in the nick of time. And oh no, it's not going to go. Oh, what's happened here now?
You have
technology, yeah. It doesn't want to do it, but I'm going to see if I can find it. There's that photo that
That's
we talked about.
See?
Yeah.
You're definitely riding fine there. So
he's thrown himself in front of you there, hasn't he? Taking you right
out. So there are 4 questions here. I'll chuck the video up. But they've gone through the effort. It was Andy Rudog's birthday yesterday. They went out for a ride at the skate park, and they put together a wicked little edit, to be fair, of which there are 4 questions. Don't worry if you don't get them first time around. He's also sent me a list of the questions. So
okay, that might be helpful. Yeah. Oh, I saw this.
Yes, hello? You want me to ask the question?
Yes.
Oh, right, okay, we'll start again then. I don't know what the question is. Lisa, are you in the team? Are you riding the team meet next year?
My fucking question, dickhead.
I mean, it was great fun last year, so why the hell not?
Why is you this question up?
Hey!
Why did you knock me out of the races, Lisa?
That's what I'm looking at. How much fun was it knocking Andy Dumlow out?
I did such a thing, did I? That's something I'd love to be able to do. I can't skateboard. guys are far too
Do you like
close.
squishies?
Do I like
Are you going to
squishy?
ride in the pro category, or
Squashies.
are you going to
What's
do
a
a Bearing and
squashy?
Bay Glory Seek and Stain Masters? Just kidding, Bearing. You'll always be my favourite Grom. Jeb,
Yes.
question for Lisa.
How did you not board for like 5 years and come back faster than everyone else?
Like, hats off to the team neat guys there for.
I have no
putting it together.
idea.
So yeah, like I say, we do have the questions that he sent us there from Scott Ledbetter, not Rude Dog. Will you ride for Team Neat again?
I mean, it was a pretty good blast last year, so why the hell not? Well, I don't know, actually. I have to think about that one.
Yeah, wait for any other offers to come in after the
Yeah, I mean,
podcast.
I've heard that there may even be a media outlet like a podcast or something like that might put forward a team or something.
right.
You know.
I'm getting the Dirt podcast too.
So yeah, don't feel obliged that you have to answer that just yet. Maybe, like you say, wait and see what other offers come in. But you never know. There could be dollars involved, or
I mean,
you know, who knows? A shipping
Start fighting
container
for
of
it.
goods. We've already got a board sorted for you tonight. The sky's the limit.
Start getting out and maybe practicing a bit more, riding a bit more too this year.
So the other question that comes in was what was it like? What's it like to? Is this right? What was it like to be a formidable force of awesomeness in the border cross racing? Yeah, how did that feel then?
I mean, I like racing, so I mean, if you put me in a start gate, I might have tried to ride the track once or twice on my own, and maybe not gone down too quickly, or just kind of managed to get to the bottom. But you see, as soon as you put other people in a gate beside me, different kettle of fish. Now you're going down. That's it. I'm coming out this gate, and I'm gonna win. I rarely do, but I try. I don't let being a female put me off riding against men. Like, I'm gonna give it a good go. I want to, you know, show what the women can do and try and get up there.
Lisa, when you're as talented as you are at this, and I'm not blowing smoke up anyone's ass here, but when you're as talented as you are, gender doesn't come into it. It really doesn't. Like, I mean, maybe I personally myself, like, as we know, there are some people that would rather go for, you know, glory trophies and things like that than race their peers as such, or want to race the best possible riders out there. I myself would like to always be marked up against the top riders that were possible on that course on that day, no matter age, race, sexuality, gender. It makes no difference to me. I just want to know how I come across against everyone. And competing against the guys, you get to do that. And I can't think of many other sports where, you know, there's always a ladies category, but there's not many sports that ladies directly compete against guys. So mad props to you for doing it. And doing it so bloody successfully as well.
I just really enjoy the racing, to be honest. And it doesn't matter if you're male or female. Just racing is really good fun. And it doesn't matter if you win or lose. It's just the taking part in a race and being kind of this close to each other, or, you know, you're touching wheels. You've maybe had a bit of a cuddle around a bend or something, you know, on the way down. But the taking part in the race side of things, I mean, I love it. It's great fun. But then so is the free riding. So everything about the mountainboarding, and kind of, it's just good fun to be around, and kind of push each other. And it's a brilliant sport, to be fair. But yeah, I am quite competitive, so I think we were up at Catkinbray pump track at the end of last year, and Leon Dubb had set the timing up. Oh, I was gutted, man. I was so close to like Adam and Leon, but I was like 0.03 of a second or something off. I just couldn't. I was like third fastest lap time or something, but it's just trying to get faster and faster every time. And I think everyone is just pushing yourself. But yeah, the pump tracks are great fun, actually. I enjoy those.
That's definitely an advantage to, like I say, to my side of things, want to know how I'm ranked against anyone on the hill. With timing, you very definitely get that, don't you?
I mean, it's that instant feedback.
Do you think,
you see your time and you go, go faster.
Assuming, let me give you two scenarios, and I want to see how you what your thinking is. So, in this first scenario, this year's championship, there's say 15 other females turn up.
Mm-hmm.
Do you stay in the Masters, decide to go pro, or do you go into the ladies?
I'd probably start in the ladies, because it would be really nice to see that number of women competing again.
Yeah.
And if the race was competitive, then yeah, I'd love to race against other women. But I think the women's scene has really been so quiet over. I mean, you've had some fantastic female riders over the years, and I've had some really good races with other female riders. But I think just as kind of the sport kind of declined, the dropouts, to actually be able to kind of be competitive in that sort of dueling level, I had to kind of traverse across. So I would have to wait and see. I mean, I'd start off probably wanting to see how we were all matched together, but ultimately I just want everyone to be able to have a good race. And I like to enjoy the race. So
I think there are, as you say, there are definitely some amazing riders. I think the females are just geographically challenged at the moment. I mean, I hope I'm right in saying that Erica Pintia, if that's how it's pronounced, I'm hoping she's still riding with Jeremy, and the Romanian chick who she did the Cherries on the Cake, the Four Down movie. I forget her name now.
What are you talking about?
It'll come to me at some point. But so, you know, they're still out there, and I know there's a couple of other ladies who I'm not doing justice to.
That's why I mean, I'd love to go to the Worlds more so to be able to actually compete against other women. I think something like the World Championships could see, you know, riders like Erica, the Romanians, Serbians, French, all over the world getting together. And I know there's some women, you know, there are other women out there who can probably backflip, potentially even, you know, do, you know, front flips. I don't know. I don't know. Is there a female out there at the moment that's front flipping? I know Nikki Forecast back in the day possibly did front flip. But I don't know if there is anyone out there at the moment. But it would just be nice to see other women, and I'd love to go to the Worlds if that was the case. Hopefully one day there'll be lots of younger female riders, even older female riders coming back out of the woodworks.
Well, I think we should take a moment here to try and call out Nikki Forecast. She's still in the UK as far as I know, and I reckon if give her a bit of time back on board, she could definitely be some.
She was really good though, I think, like freestyle wise.
She was definitely backflipping, definitely. But yeah, I don't know if she was front flipping. And I don't know about rotations. I think you'd have her on the rotations.
I don't know about that, but certainly it would be nice to see another female. And certainly, I've never been much of a freestyler. I've only done it because it's been in the competitions. But I did start to enjoy it. But it hurts. Freestyle hurts. Do you find that?
Yeah. The other questions.
Hang on.
Oh, go on.
Maybe you need to go for a front flip for this season then. Push yourself before having it.
I can't even do a front roly-poly.
I wasn't talking to you though, was I? We got a guest on. I'm not going to be talking to you.
All about the guests all the time. What about me? What about me?
It was Hale's. I tried a front flip. It hurt. I tried a front flip into foam, and I just remember landing really heavy on the back axle and crushing my back ankle and thinking, no, I don't want to try that again.
I can't get my head around. I couldn't even get my head around them on snow, to be fair. It's still, there's something about going that way. I can go that way, but I can't go that way. I'm not an ambi-turner, man.
Right, that's it then. We got to have a meet up, and we're going to find a foam pit, and you and I are going to try front flips.
But are you coming to Brindy's birthday? I mean, sorry, not Brindy's, Sloggs' birthday.
When is it?
When's your birthday party?
April the 9th at Ramp World, Cardiff.
Oh no, I'm in Portugal. I'm going out to see my parents for a week. Haven't seen them since last year, maybe this time last year.
Anywhere near Sintra?
No, they're down in the south, unfortunately, right on the Spanish border in the Algarve. So it's pretty flat where they are, unfortunately. Well, not that flat, but no mountainboarding that I know of.
Never mind. Adam Barton got out there recently. Looked like he had a very good time. I'm jealous.
I'm very jealous. Actually, just to be able to get away and go anywhere at the moment, but it does look like he had a great time. Actually, I need to give Adam a shout. Adam, let's go riding.
Yes, small eyes.
Small eyes burning like fire.
So I've been watching quite a few of Adam's kind of the 1 foot kind of malarkey. Kind of decided on the trampoline earlier today that I might have a go at it myself.
Oh yeah.
Trampoline board. I'll try kind of grab the binding, take my foot out and put it back in type scenarios. It's really hard. I hit my shin so many times.
That's hacksaw blades.
No, I think I'll keep my feet in the board. It's taking 1 foot out. Very beginning of learning how to mountain board. 2 friends came on 2 separate occasions, also trying to learn how to mountain board, and both of them did exactly the same thing within about 10 minutes of stepping on a board, and that was take their front foot out, and as the board was going downhill and roll over it, and both of them broke their ankles. So number 1 rule, in my opinion, is never take your feet out the board.
That is a classic newbie accident, though, isn't it? Trying to just run off the board.
It's still going on it's still a debatable exit technique in the electric world. With people
also,
coming on.
You're going even faster than you would be with gravity, so it's a good idea to try and run it out.
Do either of you use longboard?
Yeah.
Right, so when you're going down a hill and you kind of get that slight speed wobble, and your gut instinct is to kind of lean back and maybe jump. That's like the worst thing.
The worst thing you can do.
Then
you end up doing the run and you just go splat.
Yeah.
That's what often
You'll do that once. You'll do that once, and if you get away with it and have motivation, you might get back on a board. And generally, those sorts of people are mountain boarders, but. Yeah. The rest of them will have that experience once and they will never set foot on a board. And I tell you what, if you're buying an electric board for that experience, that's an expensive way to make that mistake.
Electric board's so much fun though. I've had people on the electric board just randomly kind of in the park, like not complete strangers. They're kind of other dog walkers that I see on a regular basis, and they've got on the board and had a go of it. And I think with the control and being able to kind of control their speed, they've picked it up really, really quickly. And these are people that maybe have never been on a board before. So I can see the electric mountain board being a really good way to access the sport and be a transition into it.
Fucking hope so.
Yeah.
It definitely is. It definitely is. As long as you still got to learn the basics, though, haven't you?
Mm.
You know, if your brakes fail and you're on a motorbike, you can use the gears to change down and slow yourself down, or a car, whatever it may be. You know, there are ways to get yourself out of trouble, and if you don't learn those ways for a mountain board before you're doing 30 mile an hour, you're going to get yourself into trouble at some point down the line, without a doubt. I'm all done on viewers' questions, Sloggett. How are you set for a 10 set for us? Because I'm looking at the time and thinking we're banging on the 2 hour mark.
Right, you ready?
Well, then.
Hopefully, we haven't touched on too many of them. What with the amount of questions we've had, don't think about it too much. Just throw your first answer out. Ready?
Pressure's on.
Right. We won't mark you on it. It's not pass or fail.
You're not Rennie. It's all right.
Not a fucking fail. Right. Reg or goof?
Regular.
I think that's an important one. Always the first one, that one. Park or free ride?
Free. I'm so torn on that. I can't decide. Not skate park. If it was skate park, free ride. If it was board across track versus free ride, I'm board across, but otherwise free ride.
Board across or freestyle?
Board across.
What a dick move.
Right, best board across track.
Oh, what was the one down near Southampton?
Hair down?
You?
Hair down.
Hair down.
Hair down.
You always forget about hair down.
I loved that track. Hair down was a great track. It ripped your bum to shreds if you fell on it.
Yeah.
I loved that board across track. It was a really fun track to race on.
Big bits of chalk and flint, wasn't it, if I remember rightly?
Yeah, quite painful.
And fast.
They had that trail down the outside as well, kind of like the fun track. That was really, really cool. Yeah, that was I liked the board across track there. There's not, unfortunately, many left now, though. Out to Grass was a great track too.
Yeah.
But then Hales, the Court Farm black track, then the orange track. Oh man, where have they all gone?
Oh no.
Yeah.
We're going hair down then, are we?
Sad.
Right, flip or spin?
Neither really, but I mean, probably spin. It's not going upside down. Upside down scares me.
Favourite centre, past or present?
Court Farm was like my second home when I was at uni. I used to go to Court Farm a hell of a lot. Yeah, probably Court Farm just because of the whole kind of place. But before that, Surf and Dirt in Ireland. That's where it all began for me. That was
the part then, that one.
Yeah.
Favourite board you've ever owned?
Ooh, probably the Haero deck. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I quite like her. Quite nice.
Front side or back side?
Front side off big jumps, back side off smaller jumps.
That's been said before, I think, as well, isn't it?
I don't know why, but if you do backside off a bigger jump, you have a tendency, for me anyway, to catch my back wheel on the lip and kind of throw myself way off. Done that once or twice, so it scares me.
It's up there now.
Yeah, it's mental, I think, definitely.
Favourite trick? Now, we can split this one down. Favourite trick that you've ever done yourself and favourite trick you've seen someone else do?
Favorite. I'm gonna say I really, really like cork fives. I like watching people do proper tweaked out cork fives. I think they're just a really, really nice trick. I'd love to be able to do it myself. I've tried. No idea. Can't do it. No. Might have to. That's it. I need to go into some sessions, maybe down in Ramp World, come to the foam pits, get down to bugs, and get some tips from some of the pros. Maybe have a go at it myself. But favorite trick probably from myself, backside one.
Nice.
I quite like backside 180s. Yeah.
It doesn't matter, with big or small, they feel good.
Yeah, they do. They're really nice little, like, I don't know, just like a backside one.
Yeah.
Favorite rider?
Ooh, good question. Oh, why don't make me pick one. Probably.
I think this is the word.
Yeah, don't make me pick a favorite rider. There's too many excellent riders out there.
All right. So who stokes you the most then? Is there anyone that you've ridden with over the years that you just go, do you know what? That person, I really love being in their company, and they make me. We touched on Bobby Dibben earlier when you said about that experience, but is there anyone like that you've consistently come into to rides with, or any of the Plymouth Uni guys, or
I mean, when I was at Plymouth Uni, Simon definitely probably encouraged and pushed, but the whole crew just really encouraged. In terms of probably riders, I don't know, everyone in the whole community is so supportive. Everyone, you've got a good vibe off just about anyone that you come across and ride with. I've really enjoyed riding up, with the Neat crew. I've really enjoyed riding with the PUATB crew, going to Court Farm, the Wanklin brothers, the Gormans, Leo and Sam Gorman. Like, back in the day, they were awesome. I loved going riding with them. They had so much kind of enthusiasm and motivation, and Leo was super stylish. He just like flew into the air out of nowhere. Right now, I just enjoy kind of watching. I mean, Adam's kind of one-footed tricks, his skate park riding, and because he's up the road, I've kind of gone to the skate park once or twice, and I'm like, I don't really know how to ride in a skate park. I want to be able to give it a go. So it does make me want to learn how to ride in a skate park more. Definitely, he makes the most of the terrain around him.
There was that meme a little while back for him, wasn't there? I remember reading somewhere, somebody made a comment of, I'm not sure if all the skate parks in Scotland are really good, or it's just that Adam Conacher makes them look good.
Adam could make anything look good, I think. If there's a street bollard just plonked in the middle of the road, I'm sure he would make it look good one way or another. There would be a trick that he could do. Really, really cool rider. In terms of like motivation in people, Raf was really supportive, and he's got so much love and enthusiasm. His spirit, actually, I think he was at the competition last year.
Yeah.
I think by the time that he possibly arrived, though, there was maybe one or two many beers consumed.
He arrived literally as I was leaving.
Did he actually?
I got to shake his hand and have a cuddle, but that was as much as I got out of it. He literally just arrived. But Ref, come on the bloody dirt. Come and have a session on here.
His energy when we were on Mountainboarding was awesome. And then like the women, like, oh no, I can't pick anything or anyone. No. M Thrower, she's always out tearing it up for the women. Like, she perseveres, she rides the most rugged of terrain. Like, that woman, yeah, she's brilliant. I mean, honestly, there's not a single person that you can choose or pick from.
Very good. And we're done. That was the last question.
Well, look, it's getting on quite late now. Is there, before we tie up, is there anything that you wanted to discuss? Anything that you wanted? Any shout outs? Any thanks, praise, or consider the airtime yours for any subjects you wanted to talk about or mention?
I mean, I'm just really looking forward to getting involved again. I'm back in the UK. I'm back on the mainland, not even just across the water any longer. There's no ferries involved. So I really want to make the most of trying to get together, and any female riders out there, try and really kind of get together this year, and just enjoy riding. And if anyone wants to meet up at any point in the weekends, just give me a shout and we'll try and make a plan. Definitely make it happen a lot more often than it has been, that's for sure. But no, thank you very much for your time, both of you. It's been a pleasure. It's been an absolute entertainment listening to all of the other podcasts as well over the weeks. It's amazing that it's nice to see the community coming together and kind of speaking up and getting excited about future events. Thank you so much for the Haero Board, by the way. If that is an actual fact, that would be like, yeah, that would be amazing.
I shall prove it to you now.
And when can I come and ride? Oh, that's amazing.
That is actually amazing.
Yeah, go on then.
For you. I'm sat here, just brilliant.
Yeah.
That picture, Sloggs, that was in Saltash Skate Park.
Was it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Again?
Did you work
it was the one I put up on the story.
That's in Saltash.
Oh, I'll have to look. Send it to me in a minute, Dan. I'll have a proper look at it.
Have you heard of this podcast called The Dirt? They've got an Instagram profile that's updated all the time. If you go and have a look on there, at the moment, it's one of the stories.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
I might have a gander at that. Send me the link. Thank you so much for coming on. It's been an absolute pleasure.
No, thanks very much, guys. And like I said, it's the community itself is a massive, as to take pride in itself. Everyone is super friendly. All of the centres that have existed over the years have done themselves proud. They're sadly missed, I think, by everybody, and hopefully there'll be bigger and brighter things in the future. But certainly I'm happy to be back in the UK, and I'm happy and looking forward to meeting a lot more riders over the coming years. So when's the first event this year?
So the Champs is the last weekend in July.
Mm-hmm.
We've
got Mount Fest, don't we?
Mount Fest is, when's that? May?
End of April, beginning of May, something along those lines?
Yeah.
April, you said, love. End of April, some point, I've just been told.
End of April. Hey. Thanks, Claire.
That's at Bugs, isn't it? It's at Bugs every year.
Oh, so we can have an airbag session there. We can have an airbag session at Mount Fest.
It's like 5 weeks away or something, isn't it? It's not too
not
bad.
long now either.
That's not long at all. Well, that'll be good. Right, you ready for a front flip?
We'll try. We're gonna have to get our eyes back in on everything, really. Like an entire winter off. And I've just had an entire sort of probably 5-6 years off, I think.
I feel as you're throwing the excuses out already, Dan. All right, that's perfect then.
But let's get that one in. Cool. Well, I'm going to tie it up then, guys and girls.
No worries.
There's nothing else to be added. Lisa, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your positivity. Your smile out on the hill is always appreciated. It certainly makes my heart sing a little bit, and seeing you on track is just awesome. Long may it continue, and we hope.
I think we need a couple of good races this year. That's for sure.
Definitely, guys. Have a good evening.
Thanks very much. See you later, guys.
See you later.
Bye.
Well, aye, man. That was dead canny as out, that like. Cheers for tuning out to listen. Now, before you go yem, don't forget, if you want to keep getting doing with the Dorty Dort fun, like and subscribe. Get amongst it. Shy Ben's getting out.